What's up, party people, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a full face of old favorites. So these are products that I've been in love with for a very long time. They're like go-to holy grail products. They've just kind of been collecting dust for a while because they get replaced and substituted out with newer products because there are so many new products always coming into my collection that these just get forgotten about. These are the forgotten ones. It's so sad. So I hope this video not only inspires you guys, but also inspires me to just get away from buying every single new release and just kind of focus on the stuff that I know works, you know, stuff that I already have in my collection. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel and join my community. I have a little subscribe button right here at the corner of the video. Just click that, automatically subscribes you. It's super easy. Also, if you watch this video and you decide that you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up so that I know. Alrighty, so it's time to take a walk down memory lane, and it's really not that far of a walk because it really wasn't that long ago. Alrighty, so I'm going to start out by prepping and priming my eyebrows, and yes, that sounds weird, but this is actually something that I do. So I'm going to go in with the Essence Lash and Brow Gel Mascara, and this is actually, it's an old favorite, but it's something that I continue to use. I use this every single day, and I have for, let's see, probably at least a year and a half or 2 years. So all I do with this is just comb my eyebrows up, kind of over, and I just feel like this automatically just opens my eyes and makes everything look a little bit more put together. So moving on to eye primer, this is something that is my ride or die go-to holy grail product. This is probably my favorite primer in the world, and that is the Essence I Love Stage eyeshadow base. So I did go without this for a while just because I was trying to use up everything else in my collection. I highly recommend this because not only does it keep your eyeshadows in place all day long, it prevents them from fading and creasing and doing all kinds of weird stuff, but this definitely has very, very good coverage. And this is only $2 or $3, so I think this is a must-have. I'm going to use the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Now, I love this palette. I love a lot of the shades in here. I've recently spoken out about a few cons that I don't feel like people really talk about with this palette, but I do overall like it. And I feel like for Valentine's Day, these really pretty like berry and pinky tones going to look real good. I also want to try to incorporate the Prime and Base eyeshadow palette. I did a review over this a very long time ago. They sent me a couple of their products, and I still don't think Prime and Base is that big of a company. I don't even know if they have this palette anymore, so I'm sorry if you're wanting to get your hands on it and they're discontinued or something, because I don't feel like Prime and Base is done all that hot. But these are some of the most pigmented, shimmery, just beautifully opaque and intense eyeshadows I've ever used. The only reason I don't gravitate towards this anymore is just because it doesn't have mattes in here. I do want to try to incorporate this a little bit because these are such a good quality eyeshadow and pigment, so we may or may not use it. I just want to go ahead and throw it in there. And then I would like to use this pigment from Makeup Geek that I used to use all the time, and I feel like this is all that you ever saw on YouTube. Back in the day when this first came out, I mean back in the day, I mean like 2 or 3 years ago, but this is the Insomnia pigment, and this is kind of like that MAC blue brown vibe, and I feel like the reason no one uses this anymore is just because there's only so much you can do with it, and I feel like everyone's already done it. But I think this would be really pretty with the colors in the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. So I'm gonna go into the Modern Renaissance, and I'm gonna take a mixture of Golden Ochre and Tempera and use that to set my eye primer. This is where it kind of gets a little bit like wonky for me because there aren't really transition shades in here that I think work perfectly with these red, pinky, berry tones, except Blonde Fresco, but Blonde Fresco is so cool toned. It's not my favorite. I wish they had like a light pink shade or another kind of mauve shade or something like that for a transition in here. That's one of the things I don't like about this palette. I feel like it's missing a lot. I'm just gonna put this in the crease and kind of elongate it a little bit, kind of out towards my brow. Every single brush in my arsenal is dirty right now, so yeah, this needs to change today. I actually need to wash these. I'm gonna go in with, let's start out with Love Letter, and I might mix in a little bit of Venetian Red. Now, the problem that I've usually had with this palette that no one ever talks about is that when you layer the eyeshadows on top of each other where they're so heavily pigmented, it's like they cancel each other out. So there's really not a big point in doing a lot of layering with these. I'm just gonna put this in the outer V and kind of string this along the socket of the crease. We're looking a little wonky on the side there, but foundation will clean that up. So I'm gonna go back in with that crease brush I used for Blonde Fresco, and with no extra product, just blend in the crease and just blend those two together. Just kind of fuse them together. So I think I am gonna go ahead and go in with the Insomnia pigment just because I don't know if I've ever seen Insomnia paired with like a pinky fuchsia berry vibe. So we're gonna try it. We're just gonna tap this all over the eyelid, but I'm not gonna go into the outer corner. I'm just gonna keep this from the inner corner to about the center, and then we'll kind of diffuse the shades into each other later. Ooh, this is gonna be pretty. I feel like these perform a lot better when they're wet. So speaking of old favorites, I've been listening to nothing but Shania Twain, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. I'm just such a big fan of the 90s and like the early 2000s music. And this stuff that's out right now, I don't like it. And I'm going through this weird obsession with Britney Spears. I don't know why, I'm just fascinated by Britney. Like she can't sing or dance anymore, but there's just something that's so interesting about her story. So I could easily go in with the Icy Pink shade in the Modern Renaissance palette, but I just want to use something else, okay? I just want to use something different from my old favorites. So I'm going to go into the Prime and Base palette, and I think I'm going to take a mixture of this really, really pretty taupe, this is my favorite shade in the palette, and mix it with this one just a little bit, just to kind of, I don't know, just balance everything out. And again, if you're trying to recreate this with me, then just use the Anastasia palette, but I'm just trying to use as many old favorites as possible. So I've got those mixed together. I'm going to spray my brush and just put this in the inner corner and kind of drag it upwards into the inner portion of the eyelid shade, just a little bit. So a true blue old favorites for liners would be between the L'Oreal Lacquer Liner in the shade Black is Black and the Makeup Geek Gel Liner in the shade Immortal, which is also just black. But the problem with that is that these have pretty much dried out. I feel like I can maybe salvage the L'Oreal one, and I actually did try to salvage the Makeup Geek one a while back. I think I put oils or something in it, and it's never recovered. Like it's nothing but black oil pretty much. So I feel like it's probably time to toss these. But these Makeup Geek gels are so amazing, and I'm pretty sure she discontinued them for the stick, like the actual stick liners that she has now. But these were the best liners I've ever tried. I mean, nothing held up in my waterline the way these did. I'm gonna go ahead and line my lash line with this, and I may do a tiny flick, but I'm not really gonna focus on a wing. Okay, so that one's not really working for me. I just need something a little bit more intense. So I'm gonna go into another old favorite, and yes, I'm just all over the place, and we're using like 15 palettes, but this is a Morphe 35C. I've actually hit pan on a couple of these in here, but it's just regular stuff that you'd hit pan on. But here's what it used to look like. This is the old Morphe formulation that was a little bit chalky, a little bit dry, but it performed really well. But I'm gonna take this matte black right here. As you can see, I hit pan on it, so it must have been my favorite in the palette. I'm just gonna use that to set the liner and just intensify it a little bit, because I feel like with this look, the liner needs to be bold. Okay, so for mascara, the only old favorites that I have in my collection that I've had for a long time that's been the same is the L'Oreal Miss Mango Rock. I still use this stuff. I talk about it all the time, and this is my absolute favorite mascara in the world. I get comments all the time asking what's my favorite mascara, and this is it. Yes, it's discontinued, but you can find it on Amazon and eBay. I don't really know why they discontinued it. Maybe the other one, the one in the pink packaging, I think it's just called Miss Mango. Maybe it's just the same thing and they just didn't feel like it was necessary to have both. I don't know. Okay, so there's one layer of mascara on both sides. I also just got done applying some moisturizer, but look at this. One layer. You can't beat it. Okay, so for eyebrows, I kind of go back and forth, and sometimes I'm in a phase where I like brow pencils. Sometimes I'm in a phase where I like brow powders, brow pomades. It just kind of depends. Right now I'm in a brow pencil kick, but I used to be in brow powder mode all the time. So one of my favorite brow products, and probably one of the most perfect shades for my brows, is this 𝐏𝐂𝐓𝐒 brow kit. This is from 𝐏𝐂𝐓𝐒 Professional. This is in the shade Blonde, and it's just your typical setup. You have two different shades, one's lighter, one's darker, and then a brow wax. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my brows with a mixture of these two shades right here. You can find this at Walmart. I'm gonna turn on some Britney, and I'm gonna fill in my brows. Okay, so now that the brows are done, we'll move on to the face and come back and finish up the eyes afterwards. So I have two different primers here. I have the Flower in Your Prime Perfecting Primer. I'm pretty sure it's in a black tube now. I'm not really sure, but I love this stuff, and it's so hydrating and so creamy. It provides an amazing base for your foundation. And then I'm gonna spot prime with this one. This is the Garnier 5-Second Blur Skin Renew Instant Smoother. And I actually don't know if they still make this stuff, but this is one of the only products I've ever tried that actually fills in your pores. And I don't know why I stopped using it, because it's just something I forget about. Like, I forget about how good it is, because I've seriously never tried something that fills in your pores and minimizes the appearance of them quite like this. I'm gonna apply the Flower one on like areas aside from the T-zone, and then we'll apply the Garnier one just in the T-zone where my pores are large and in charge. So here's what the Garnier one looks like. I actually don't know if I've ever shown this on my channel before, which is so weird. It's a little bit thicker. It's like a whipped kind of texture, but when it goes over the pores, it just kind of mattifies and blurs. And this was only like $14 or $15. I really want to know if do they still carry this? I need to know. Oh my God, I can't find it on Ulta. I can't find it. Okay, I see it on eBay for $16. Oh my God, it says discontinued. No, but it says we offer something even better. Find it here. Let's find out what they're offering. Ultra Lift Wrinkle Reducer 2-in-1 Serum and Moisturizer. That's not what this product is. They don't have it on Ulta, okay? If I can find it, I'll link it below. I don't want this to be discontinued. Even though I didn't appreciate it when it was around, I don't want it to go. I appreciate you now. Okay, so for foundation, I was inspired by one of my first videos I put on YouTube back when I was selling Avon. This is the Avon True Color Flawless Liquid Foundation. Now, this used to be called the Ideal Flawless Liquid Foundation, but they've changed the packaging and whatnot. And I remember this being really full coverage and having a really nice, like, dewy, glowy finish and being really hydrating. But I don't know if they've changed the formula. I don't know if it'll work with my new skin type. Right now I have dry combination oily skin, so we shall see. It does come with a pump. I found this on eBay for like $8. I got the shade Light Ivory back in the day. This actually was my perfect shade. Okay, I remember this shade being a little bit more yellow undertoned, but this is going over my skin really nice. It's blending out nicely. It started out a little bit fuller coverage down here, but when you blend it out, it's not as full coverage. I feel like something has been done to this. Like, it's either been reformulated or something. It definitely still looks really nice on the skin. It looks very like softened and airbrushed looking. Okay, so I'm moving on to concealer. This takes the cake for old favorites. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, and they actually just came out with new shades. I got the shade Ivory, which is the lightest, and I love this shade. It's a really, really nice, like, neutral vanilla shade. So I've been using this one for years and years. I really don't remember not ever having it in my collection. Look at that. Flawless. I'm gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and move up to my brow bone highlight and let this dry just a little bit. I don't like to go in with powder when my skin is super tacky. So we'll go ahead and kill some time. I'm gonna go into another mixture of golden ochre and tempera and pop that right on my brow bone. I'm gonna use the Sonia Kashuk Undetectable Pressed Powder. I used to talk about this so much back in the day. This has been through the ringer. So this is actually the second one that I bought. And I used to talk about this all the time, and no one ever talked about this powder. I've seriously never heard one person on YouTube talk about it. And you actually don't even see it on your face. Like, you don't see it, you don't feel it. So it's kind of like, is it actually there? Is it actually doing anything? But every time I use this, my makeup always looks so good. So for bronzer, I'm gonna use the Laura Geller Baked Body Frosting in the shade Tahitian Glow. I got this from GlamBot a couple of years back. This is normally like $30 or $40 or something like that. And I think I paid like $15 for it. This is an amazing bronzer. It has like a sheen to it. It's not matte, but it doesn't have shimmer. And I just feel like this color is so realistic. Like, it looks like an actual suntan. It doesn't look fake. Like, some matte bronzers just look fake on your skin. So yeah, this stuff is amazing, but I would recommend trying to find it on like GlamBot or eBay, Amazon, something like that, where you can find it kind of on sale, because normally this is pretty expensive, but it would last you seriously forever. So now let's move on to blush. The Jordana Coral Sandy Beach Blush is an oldie but a goodie, and this kind of has like a sheen to it. I have a couple and they both look very, very similar. And I used to love these, but it's just one of those products I just forget about. I mean, I guess that's kind of the theme of this entire video. So moving on to highlighter, the Balm's Mary Luminizer go-to. This kind of set the standard for all highlighters. Now this is very, very frosty, so if you go a little ham with it, you can guarantee it's going to emphasize texture and pores and stuff like that. I've had this for a while. This has been broken. It's been fixed with alcohol. It's been broken again and refixed and repressed. It's been through a lot with me. And there are a lot of dupes for this out there now. So yes, it's a good product. Is it worth it? Probably not, because there are so many dupes. So I think I'm going to use this L'Oreal Silkissime eyeliner in the shade True Teal. I think just kind of tie in with the teal on the pigment. Ooh. I'm just going to take a brush and smudge that out a little bit. I'm just going to try to go back in with the Insomnia pigment. I just want to match that teal tone. Oh, we are looking dramatic. Actually, let's go ahead and go in with a little bit of Love Letter on the very tip and just tap off all the excess. And just put that right below that, just so that you can see like a peekaboo kind of color in there. Okay, so for lips, I'm gonna go in with the NYX lip liner in the shade Mauve. This was my go-to lip liner back when I first started wearing lip liner. And this is a decent formula. I mean, I don't really like pencil liners like this anymore. I prefer retractable or like the kind that you sharpen, like gels. So for lipstick, I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline matte lipstick in the shade 655 Daringly Nude. This is just a matte, kind of like a peachy pink nude. Okay, so I always like to go in with the gloss to top things off. I can't stand a matte finish, but I'm gonna go in with the NYX Mega Shine Lip Gloss in the shade Sugar Pie. This is one of my oldest favorite lip glosses. I used to use this on top of everything, and then I was like, you know what? I should probably just do a clear, but I'm gonna go ahead and top that off. Ooh, it just automatically makes it look better. So for setting spray, this is the first setting spray I ever used. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. This is still something that everyone uses. I'm gonna go ahead and set my face with this. That is it for this throwback old favorites tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found some inspiration. Hopefully you feel inspired to go and use some of your old favorites and, you know, pick up some products that have been untouched and kind of lonely in your collection for a while, because it's definitely inspired me to do that. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next one. Mwah.